morning we're going to show you pictures that have never been seen before on British television. Just take a look at this. Now, what do you make of this, I wonder? Looks like a kite to me. It could be anything, couldn't it, really? But apparently these are UFOs filmed by the KGB in Moscow. Now, the Russian Secret Service monitored UFOs for years, but the extent of their investigations has only just come to light. Now, these pictures have come to light thanks to our next guest, who's sitting with us on the sofa. We'll introduce him in a minute once you've seen the very end of those pictures, because this is the first time they've been seen. There we go. Right, George Knapp, who's an American TV presenter. He works for CBS, and more importantly, in his spare time, is a UFO expert, aren't you, George? Morning to you.
Good morning. You're both quite fragrant this morning, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We try to be. I'm glad it's wafting. Yes, we are. Yeah, it's wafting in your direction. Now, what's so important or special about the pictures we've just seen?
Well, they were kept in vaults of the KGB for more than 25 years. Many of them were classified and had never been released. The significance of them really is that the Russian government had great interest behind the scenes in UFOs. At the same time, it had been telling its own public that there's nothing to it. They were conducting secret studies since the days of Stalin. That video was shot over Latvia in 1968. It's similar in shape, at least, to some UFOs that have been seen over Arizona just in the past couple of months or so.
Yeah.
This was seen in the Urals in 1976. This was seen north of Moscow, a series of 8 photographs. You'll notice the object sort of looks like a disc in the air, and then later photos, as it gets closer to the ground, it's sort of a blob changing shapes, which is what a lot of people say UFOs are capable of doing.
Yeah, they're quite amazing, aren't they? But there are cynics amongst us.
Well, there should be, and because 95% of what I've seen in the area of ufology is complete nonsense. People making up stories about space aliens are here to steal our frogs or things of that sort. But that other 5% is where the key is, because it's not easily explained away.
Why were the Russians in particular monitoring UFOs then?
What we were able to find is that the Russians were interested for very practical reasons. They know UFOs could do things that our planes cannot do. You can see them on radar but not visually, see them visually but not on radar. They can split apart, they can meld together, zoom away at incredible speeds. They felt if they could master the secrets of UFOs, they could gain an edge on the West in technology, stealth technology.
Now, if the KGB and if you say the American Defense Department and if all these people are taking the existence of UFOs seriously, where is the concrete evidence that they actually exist?
Well, I think
apart from these pictures we're seeing.
I think the evidence is in the files, the classified documents. That's most impressive to me. These are not stories of some people who think they've been to Venus or something. This is the governments of the world saying they're real and they have definite national security implications. One of the things we saw in Russia was a series of UFOs over an ICBM base, dancing around, performing incredible maneuvers, and just before they left, after a period of 4 hours, the launch control panel at this base lit up. Something or someone entered the correct launch codes, the missiles were ready to go, then boom, the UFOs left, things went back to normal. The same thing has happened in the United States.
Yeah, so well, we could talk about it all morning, couldn't we? And
well,
of course, we'll be back to you in a minute to be monitoring UFOs. This film that you're going to see just now was taken from the Space Shuttle Discovery in December last year. As you can see, it shows a large bright object moving over the surface of the Earth, surrounded by what appear to be tiny explosions. There they are, they just popped up there, another one there. Right, I'm joined now in our lead studio by Graham Birdsall, who's obviously very interested in those pictures because he's the editor of UFO magazine. Now, Graham, what did NASA say about all this?
Well, NASA insists that all of these objects in the film, and there are over 60 anomalous objects flying in the Earth's atmosphere, are nothing more than ice crystals. Well, ice crystals simply do not perform maneuvers like this. The flashes, incidentally, are just ordinary lightning storms below on the Earth's surface.
See, a lot of us would agree with NASA, wouldn't they? I mean, we would just say, well, yeah, they look like that to me. They look like just crystals or...
But there was similar footage that we'll be showing at Imperial College over this weekend in a 50th anniversary celebration of UFOs, and George is obviously one of the speakers that we've invited along because of his serious journalistic background. We're looking at credible statements about incredible things, and one of the most incredible statements, I believe, concerning footage like that and footage shot in 1991 by another space shuttle, Discovery, came from Dr. Jack Casher, who's a professor of astronomy and physics at Nebraska University. he's conducted 5 scientific theories and studies to basically disprove NASA's statement that these were nothing more than ice crystals. He is saying that these were intelligently directed craft, manoeuvring and accelerating above the Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, George, you want to say anything?
Well, I agree with Dr. Kasher. I mean, I've seen his analysis, and NASA tried to explain this away again as ice crystals, and they simply don't react that way. You see a flash at the bottom of the space shuttle in that later video, and these things go in different directions, not as if all going in one direction.
But Graham, if everyone is accepting that these things are real, why is this whole UFO extraterrestrial thing so covert? Why are we still talking about it as though maybe they don't really exist?
Well, I think George was quite correct to say that about 95% of the reports that do come in, some to be fair, honestly made, are misidentifications. But there are a few people who do rubbish the subject, who do make it out as though it's all foolish nonsense. But what we have to concentrate on is that small residue of reports where credible people with professional backgrounds are commenting about these extraordinary things and take it one step further. That's why the setting for the 50th anniversary of UFOs is at Imperial College in London over this weekend, in the heartland of the scientific community, where people with that background can come along and have a look for themselves.
Okay, I'm sure you'll be there all weekend for one. Thanks for joining us this morning, Graham. And George, just one final question before you go. See, what I want to know is we can see all this footage, we can go on for years seeing it. Where are these little people that are supposed to come out of there, these little green people?
Well, a lot of people say they see them. Not all of them.
Around the corridors in here. Yeah.
I think they were in the green room.
Yes.
Little green people. Yeah.
One directing the show today.
The senior director he is. Or a Martian, one of the
George,
two.
you're going to be back after 8 o'clock this morning, and we have some different footage there. So if you've got anything to add to this discussion debate, any sightings, give us a ring this morning and let us know. We'll put you on air. But thank you very much for the moment, George and Knapp. Thank you very much indeed. It's just, nearly 7:20. Good morning. Now we're going to talk about UFOs. We've been talking about this throughout the programme this morning. Thank you very much indeed for your calls. Do you believe in them? America has always been ET's home from home when it comes to sightings. Take a look at this. This is very interesting. This is only 3 months old. It's a formation of lights which appeared over the night skies of Arizona in March. It flew silently in a V formation that you can see there, 30 miles an hour for over 60 miles. Hundreds of people reported seeing those lights, including pilots, air traffic controllers, doctors, lawyers, professional people. What does it all mean? Well, here observing that with me is UFO expert George Knapp, who also presents TV programs on this very theme in America. George, what do you make of those pictures? Really quite spectacular.
It's very dramatic because not only did thousands of people see it, several dozen people videotaped it. It's not exactly a mirage. They estimated through computer analysis that object was 6,000 feet long. Now, I know what goes on in America. We don't have a plane that's more than a mile long. Perhaps you do.
No, absolutely not. So it hasn't been proved, but it hasn't been disproved yet.
No, it's going to be a mystery, like most UFO stories end up being. 95% of UFOs are generally considered misidentifications of terrestrial objects. I don't know anything that fits that description, however.
But for something to stay visible for that amount of time, surely there was time for somebody to try and make contact in some way or other.
Well, my understanding is the reports that Luke Air Force Base did scramble some jets, but they didn't quite exactly know what to do with this object. I mean, it's more than a mile long. There were actually 3 other objects that were seen during the same time period. Thousands of people were calling around to report this to authorities, but the official word from our Air Force is UFOs don't exist, we don't study them, so therefore we're not interested.
Well, you see, that's it. Now, me, like lots and lots of other people, been very gripped by this series on television, The X-Files, which has gripped the public imagination, it has to be said. And synonymous with The X-Files is the term cover-up.
Well, I think there is one, not only in the United States, but to an extent here in Britain, and certainly in Russia, where I've had an opportunity to visit twice in the past few years. This is video that was kept, another giant triangular shape. This was shot in 1968. This was kept in the KGB files, classified for more than 25 years. The Russians, like the American government, have conducted secret UFO studies dating back to the 1940s. And while they tell the public one thing, that they're not interested, that UFOs are nothing to worry about, you can tell from the government's own documents, both there and the United States, that they take it much more seriously in private.
Also, we hear about this Area 51. Tell me about Area 51 in the States.
Area 51 is sort of how I got started in the UFO field. It's a secret base. These are photos of objects that have been shot over Area 51. The story has floated around for more than 20 years that we have alien craft out there. This is the most top secret base in the world, where all sorts of top secret black projects, the U-2, the SR-71, the stealth fighter and stealth bomber have been developed, and more than 24 people I've interviewed say we also have flying saucers out there.
And the theory goes, does it not, that the Roswell incident, the famous Roswell incident, where aliens were supposed to have crash-landed in an aircraft, their technology was taken somewhere like Area 51 and perhaps developed by the American military.
They call it back engineering, meaning taking this equipment apart to figure out how it works, which strongly suggests, if that's what's going on, that we didn't build it, that it came from somewhere else. But that's exactly what the witnesses say that they've been doing out there for a number of years.
Roswell's in Arizona, isn't it?
Roswell's in New Mexico.
New Mexico. Do you know, I just came across this in a book the other day. Yeah. Very famous person born in Roswell, movie star.
No idea.
Do you know?
I've heard it before, but
Demi Moore.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Demi Moore, yeah, I was just flicking through. Yeah, Demi Moore.
Arizona's a strange place, isn't it? Oh, no, it's New Mexico, you said, did you?
New Mexico, they're all strange. Not as strange as where I'm from, Las Vegas, however.
Oh, that's even stranger.
We're gonna go south of the border, down Mexico way now, because apparently, when there are eclipses of the sun, there are particular reported sightings of UFO activity.
These objects were shot about 5 years ago during an eclipse of the sun. Thousands of people are outdoors looking up, and this is what they see. Now, this is not a weather balloon. This is not a seagull. This is not swamp gas. That is a definite craft, a metallic kind of a craft. It's some of the best UFO footage ever shot. Since that first sighting there during that eclipse, it's continued almost unabated. Thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of separate videos have spotted these same objects, not only during the eclipse, but later during a gigantic Independence Day celebration in Mexico, again, where everyone was outdoors.
Well, funny, yeah, we've got footage of the Independence Day as well. I mean, Independence Day to most of us means a big movie, but here, this is Mexico's Independence Day. And these are the traditional parades and things that happen.
And you also have considerable aerial activity, and you'll see an object that appears to dart between these airplanes.
We see it there, that silver shining object. They're center of screen right now. Yeah.
And what is it? I mean, I'm told that this video in another clip, I don't think we have it here, that a couple of these planes veer off and attempt to chase this object, whatever it is.
Yeah. Now, is that what you're talking about, or is this this is at Mexico airport? I think this is, because there have also been problems reported of UFOs interfering with passenger jets at the airport. I mean, there you can see, look at that, look. Same sort of thing again. Whatever.
And you know, our governments tell us this is nothing to be worried about. We can't verify it. Well, clearly that has security implications. At least the security of those passengers was involved.
Right. Now, all of this leads to the all-important question. David Bass, a chap called David. David, thanks for your call. From Kingston, has phoned in this morning in London, and he's basically saying the question that we want to ask when people discuss UFOs is, where do UFOs come from? Is there life on other planets? Because we always seem more interested in the UFOs themselves and not the planets that they come from.
Well, I think the assumption has been for the past 40 years or so that they are extraterrestrial. However, I think that was probably a fairly mundane explanation, that if, in fact, these objects can manipulate space and time, as physicists have told us based on witness reports, they could be from anywhere. They could be from everywhere. They could be from a parallel universe, an alternate dimension. They could be time travelers. They could be us from the future. It's as one scientist, Dr. Jacques Vallée, has said. He said he'd be disappointed if they're only extraterrestrials, although that's a fairly exotic explanation in itself.
And they're not hostile. They're friendly, generally.
Well, clearly their technology has demonstrated a mastery over anything that we have, and if they wanted to demonstrate hostility, they certainly could have, but they haven't done that.
And the reason we're talking about all this today, George, and the reason that you're over in this country, there's a conference going on.
A conference this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at Imperial College. It's organized by UFO Magazine. Graham Birdsall has an excellent publication there. I also came over because I heard Fiona was having a dress sale. I thought it was a British celebrity, and I thought it was you.
None of them would fit you, George, believe me.
Give them away.
It's an excellent gathering this weekend, so certainly the public is invited.
Well, you enjoy yourself.
Thanks very much.
Great meeting you. Thank you very much.
You'll know the man we're going to be talking about.